So a couple of years ago, I shared with you how I like to plant part of my spring garden in the fall. And this is some footage from that video. If you missed it, I'll leave a link so you can check it out. I like to do this just to kind of get a head start on the spring garden. I like to get out there, pull out all those exhausted summer plants, and plant things like spinach, carrots, scallions, garlic, and shallots, and cilantro. Those do great in my area. They overwinter fine, with the exception of 1 year, and I'll share that with you at the end of this video. So I've been living in Western North Carolina for about 13 years, and I've pretty much been using this method, I'd say about 7 of those years. Where I live, I am kind of in between zones 6B and 7. It really depends on the elevation of where you live in Western North Carolina as to what your zone will be. So I have some pretty cold winters. Now I want to show you the follow-up video from that planting, okay? So this is what it looked like in December. And you can see everything's covered under snow. This was after the snow had already started to melt. And I have some garlic in here, the spinach, the shallots, scallions. Everything is hanging in there. And of course, after the snow melted, and this was actually in February, everything's doing great. And I had already started to use some of the spinach. Now, everything doesn't actively grow fast here. When it starts to warm up, that's when everything takes off. Okay, so I had spinach, I had a couple of shallots made it. I have some cilantro, and I was already using the cilantro as well. And then the carrots were just hanging in there, so they did okay. And you know, I don't cover these, as you notice. I don't put a cover on them or anything. And the garlic, of course, survives fine. Now in March, after the weather started to warm up, late March, I was certainly using spinach almost every day at this point, as well as cilantro. And then in May, mid-May, this is what the garden looked like. I had already started planting peas. Of course, the garlic looked great. I didn't plant the peas in the fall. Okay, I did that as my spring planting, just directly from seed. The spinach was starting to bolt now. Those temperatures were certainly getting much more warm. The scallions looked great. The cilantro in the back corner was great. Those couple of shallots hung in there. And then the carrots were just taking off and looking great. And now, as a matter of fact, it was time to start using some of those wonderful garlic scapes. So I started clipping those, and I like to just, chop those up, saute them in a little butter, and put them right on top of a steak. It's a great way, really easy way to use them. So in late May, it was time to go ahead and get the garlic and the carrots. Now I mentioned that one time this did not work, and that actually was this last winter, the winter of 22. We had a really cold night of 0 degrees Fahrenheit, and I think the wind chill hit negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is kind of what my garden looked like. It knocked out just about everything. So I wanted to make sure to show you guys it might not work every year, but if you haven't tried doing this, I would recommend giving it a try. Now you'll notice the carrots were just brown. They were totally knocked out there, but then I noticed they started to green up. So was thinking, oh, this might be something here. So I took pictures so you guys could see what happened. And then before long, they just started growing like crazy. And then I knew they were bolting to seed. So I was curious to know what the roots looked like because they'd been through so much stress with the cold weather. And sure enough, those roots had been attacked, I think, by the carrot weevil. And because when I went to look into the soil, I saw something that resembled what I found on a university website, and it looks like that's what the culprit was. So those stressful plants attracted pests, and they just went straight to bolting to seed. But I'm not discouraged by it. I'll just give it another try this year, and it's worked for me most every year. And so I'm glad to share this with you. I hope you can give it a try. And thank you so much for watching, and y'all have a beautiful day.